What's going on, guys? I'm joined by Keith Farmer. Keith is a sports anchor at LEX18, and this is his first time winning the award. So, congratulations, Keith, and thank you for jumping on this interview and speaking with us.
Of course, yeah, and thank you very much.
Of course, of course. So, Keith, what was your career path like on your way to where you are now? Did you always know that you wanted to do something like this, grow up to be in the sports media industry?
I think there were a couple of things. First off, I was a channel surfer, and so I was always flipping through, CBS, NBC, ABC at the time to watch sports. So I was watching those. The second thing that I always tell people is that when I was growing up, our church started to televise our services. So it gave me a little bit of, touch of what that's like to be behind the camera and to record services, to record weddings, things like that. And that was in high school. So I started thinking, well, maybe I could do something with TV. I didn't know what. And then at that time, I am old enough to remember ESPN actually starting. So
Wow.
I thought, yeah, that could be kind of cool to do sports TV. And,
Right.
and so for me, I felt like that was lucky because I knew I wanted to go to college to study that. And so that was, the bug, the thing that got me into it. And I didn't know I wanted to be in front of the camera or
Right.
behind the mic until I actually got to college. And then that's when I kind of got to try it out and really decided that's what I wanted to do with my life.
That's awesome. And what would you consider to be your favorite part of your job right now?
Well, I think, the job has gotten harder through the years, no doubt about that. But for me, it's still the love of getting to know the athletes. It's become obviously harder through the last year with the pandemic. But for me, it's just getting to know them and to tell their stories.
Awesome, awesome. This could be a hard question to answer. So this could be something tangible or intangible. But what would you consider to be the highlight of your career thus far?
Yeah, so I mean, when people ask me what's the thing that you've enjoyed covering the most, one of them, it's hard for people to understand unless you are from Louisville, Kentucky, because I worked there and you live next door to the rival person, be it a Louisville or Kentucky fan.
Right,
And it's just, your next door neighbor, you might get along with them, except for that 1 or 2 days when they play
right,
football, basketball, whatever the case may be. Well, so in 2002, our one of our little league teams went to the little league World Series. So for me, just to go there was kind of cool, watching it all those years
right.
and to see, that place was really cool. But then our team went through and they were just progressing and winning and
Wow.
winning, and you could feel, even though I was in Pennsylvania, I could feel that people were coming together behind this team in Louisville, and they were Kentucky fans, Louisville
Yeah.
fans, Indiana fans, and they were all coming together. It wasn't
Right.
a high school or anything like that. It was just, these kids that they were getting behind. And they ended up winning it, beating a Japanese team in the end. And so that
Wow.
made it really neat to be there through the end. And then the only other thing that's a super big highlight was also when I was in Louisville covering the Ryder Cup and the
Wow.
first win for the Americans in a long time at
Right.
Valhalla made it really special to cover.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear about, especially for the little league baseball with the kids, because like it is like it's almost like you're playing for. You start by playing for a state, then you start by playing for a region, and then eventually, if you make it far enough, you're playing for the entire country, and everyone wants because it's on ESPN and stuff. So that is awesome, and that must have been a blast to cover, as well, and especially for the kids, it must have been they felt like movie stars for the kids.
They were.
Yeah,
It was so cool to see them just, get all the accolades and come back home after all
right.
of that. And everybody was waiting on their plane to land.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what is the best piece of advice you could give someone who's thinking about pursuing a career in the sports media industry?
Learn as much as you can, pick the brains of as many people as you can. If you can just talk for 5 minutes with somebody that's in the business, it's going to help you out to decide. The reason I say that, you need to decide this is what you want in your life. For 13 years, when I was in Louisville, before I moved back to Lexington, I was a weekend anchor. That meant I was giving up my weekends. I was giving up my nights, and things like that. So you got to make sure that's what you want to do.
Right.
And so then after that, I would say the next step is to make sure once you're in college that you do as many internships as possible, because that really is where I learned certain things in books that when I did my internship, I was like, oh, that's what they were talking about,
Right. Yeah.
And so, that you learn for sure. It brings it all around where, okay, this is what I need to know. And you just decide. I've had so many interns, and I've had some that have gone into the business and have done well. I've had
Right.
others said it's not for me,
Not for me.
and that's
Right.
why you do them.
Right.
You have to decide. So that to me is key when you're trying to decide to get into the
Right.
business.
Like you said too, like you could learn so much from reading and from books and stuff, but you won't really, really learn until you do it yourself. So that is a great piece of advice. So those don't want to take up too much of your time. So those are all the questions I have. But if you want to shout anyone out who may have helped or contributed to you winning this award, or leave us with any closing remarks or advice, you can go ahead and do that now.
Well, I think for one, I've been fortunate enough to work with some great people through my career, and one of them is Fred Cowgill, who has won this award before from Louisville, and I can't tell you how much I learned from him in the 13 years I was in Louisville.
Right.
And then Alan Cutler, who was here in Lexington, that I had the chance to work with before he retired a few years ago. Both of them worked in their towns for 30 plus years, and just had the knowledge and everything that they've passed on to me. And I'm hoping just to be able to do the same and pass it on to the next crop that is coming up.
That's incredible. Well, thank you again, Keith, and congratulations on winning the award.
Thank you so much.